Alright, what's up guys? So for this video I wanted to switch it up a little bit. Instead of, just giving you guys a workout or something like that, talk to everybody about something that everybody who's in the gym is wondering about or might not know about. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about creatine, the different types, the side effects, the pros, cons, and which one I prefer, which one maybe would be best for you. So to start, you've got a lot of different types of creatines. There's countless. I think there's like over 8 or 10 different kinds of creatine, different strands. These are kind of the most popular, the ones that you'll hear about the most, and the ones that you probably need to know about the most. So first, let's just start with what creatine is. So what is creatine? Creatine, a lot of people might not know, is actually already produced in our bodies. It's a molecule in our bodies already. And how it's used in our system is it attaches to phosphates, and it becomes phosphate creatine. And phosphate creatine, whenever the body is under intense stress, so during a workout for instance, it is released and it helps with muscular energy, cellular energy, and that's why you see strength gains under stress when you're taking creatine, when you're properly dosed and loaded. It's not very highly dosed in our bodies, but it does come from things like meat, eggs, fish, different things like that you can actually get it from, just not in those high doses. So that's why people supplement with higher doses. So to start, your most basic one that a lot of people hear about, and you probably heard about first, is creatine monohydrate. Now this one is micronized. They're not all micronized, but micronized basically just means a little bit more soluble, easy to mix. But creatine monohydrate, what it's going to do is it's going to load your muscles with extremely high doses. It's the most basic, it's the cheapest, most inexpensive, and the most studied creatine actually. So always a good option in my opinion. With creatine monohydrate, what you're going to want to do, the bad part about it, is you're going to want to load. And what loading means is you're taking about 0.3 grams per kilogram of body weight for your first 5 to 7 days. And that what that looks like for most people, so like a 180-pound person for instance takes 25 grams of creatine a day for the first 5 to 7 days, and that's a lot of creatine. And then after that you can dial it down to somewhere between 5 and 10 grams a day. But that loading phase is a big inconvenience. It's going to bloat you a lot. It's going to give you possibly some stomach cramping depending on how your body accepts creatine. So that's kind of the cons of this guy right here, the micronized creatine. But the pros are you're probably going to put on over 5 pounds of water weight during the time of this creatine. And water weight, granted, it's not muscle mass, but it is going to help you push more weight, which is going to lead to muscle mass. And water weight is actually classified as lean muscle mass, if you want to think of it that way. But definitely a good option. You're going to run this, and you're going to see size gains if ran correctly. You're going to see strength gains for sure. But like I said, you're going to get those negatives, those cons of bloating, cramping, and you have to load this creatine, which is just an inconvenience in general. It's also not going to mix all that well. If you're not picky about that kind of stuff, then who cares, just slam it. But if you are picky, you might not like the grittiness of a creatine monohydrate. So there's that guy. Next, we'll go into creatine HCl. So creatine HCl, I don't actually have a product of HCl on its own. These ones are mixed. So we'll represent Performance as creatine HCl because it is HCl and monohydrate mixed, but it is majority HCl. So what HCl is, that's creatine hydrochloride. And creatine hydrochloride is going to give you, it's also pretty highly studied, it's going to give you a lot of the same benefits as monohydrate. In studies it's shown to be just as effective, but you don't have to load with creatine HCl. It's going to be a lot more absorbable, a lot more soluble, so you can do lower dosages as well. So you can stay around that 5 gram mark. You don't need to go up to 10 grams, and you definitely don't need to load 25 grams ever of HCl. So when you're doing that, you can kind of dial back a little bit. It's not as strenuous on your body. You're not going to get as much water retention, so you might not see as much weight gain. But as far as strength gains goes and your ability to put on muscle mass due to those strength gains, this guy right here is going to be pretty similar, pretty much the same thing, just a little bit less of the cons. So that might sound like a good option for you. But like I said, if you're looking to put on mass and you want kind of that blown up puffy look of water retention, you're not going to get it here. So the third type that I'm going to talk about is going to be Crealkaline. You might not have heard of Crealkaline, maybe you have, but Crealkaline is pretty popular. It gets good reviews from its users, but there's not been a lot of studies on Crealkaline, which is kind of a negative in that sense. But with Crealkaline, usually it's going to be in capsules, not powder. And what it basically is going to be is a buffered creatine. So Crealkaline, no loading phase, no bloating, stomach discomfort, that kind of thing. But Crealkaline's pretty expensive for what it is, so it's going to be a lot more expensive than monohydrate, that's for sure. It's going to be a protected creatine, so when you take Crealkaline, you're not going to get all that useless creatine that you get with monohydrate. That's why you have to load. Your body doesn't absorb it. A lot of it's useless. It gets passed through. So out of the 25 grams you're loading, you're not getting all of those 25 grams. Here you're going to take a capsule. This brand, 1,500 milligrams of Crealkaline in this one. 1,500 milligrams, you're probably getting pretty close to 1,500 milligrams. It's buffered to where you actually absorb it. It's useful. I personally have never taken Crealkaline, so I can't give you a personal opinion on it, but do know that most of its users enjoy it. So you might give it a shot if you got a little bit extra money and you want to try something a little more expensive, or maybe you've already tried these other options. This could be a good one for you. Your other forms are going to be things like creatine peptides, creatine citrate, different forms like that. And for me, and just in my opinion, the best way is to get a combination of those things. You could go any of these three routes that I just talked about that you want, but my personal favorite product is going to be like CellTech right here from Muscle Tech. And what CellTech does, especially CellTech Revolution, they're going to combine creatine monohydrate, creatine peptides, creatine citrate, and creatine HCl all in one. So you're going to get 4 different strains of creatine. You probably, in my opinion, I mean, they haven't done studies on this. I don't have studies at hand, but you're probably going to get better overall absorption if you have multiple strands, right? Only makes sense. Same with probiotics, same with a lot of different things. The more strands you can get, the better. So a quad-sourced creatine like this seems to work really well for me. I like it. I see strength gains when I'm on it, but you don't get the water retention because you don't have all that monohydrate. So if I'm on a pure bulking phase where I want a lot of water weight to carry around and I don't care because I'm just trying to push more weight in the gym, creatine monohydrate is the way I'm going every time. If I'm just worried about lean muscle mass, I want some extra strength, but I'm not over the top bulking right now, I'm going with something like CellTech that's quad source. I'm getting all those different kinds. I'm getting peptides that are going to absorb really well and things like that. So that being said, that's my go. Some of the similarities with all of these guys, if you're taking creatine, period, keep your water intake up. You need high amounts of water. You should be taking about 1 gallon a day in anyway. If you're taking creatine, you need to bump that up to closer to 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons, depending on body weight. So that would be my biggest kind of tip for you guys. If you're taking creatine, keep your water up because it is going to pull water to your muscles. Your body's not going to get that water to use. Your muscles are going to use a lot of it. So keep your water intake up. Whichever one you decide to go with, they're all great options. So I hope this made it a little bit easier to learn kind of what creatine is, what it can do, and your different options that you can buy. So go hit up your local supplement store or online and figure out which one fits in your price range, which one kind of seems like the best for you. But not everybody's the same, obviously. So these are just a few options. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Maybe I'll do a couple more of these on different things. And if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.